Everybody, thanks for joining us. Welcome to our webinar.
Yeah, welcome to our webinar on online reputation and why it matters. My name is Jamie, and I'm the head of accounts here at Kinnek, and I'm joined by Catherine.
Hey everybody, my name is Catherine, and I lead the marketing team here at Kinnek. So we help businesses like yours improve their online reputations every day. We really have two goals for all of our suppliers. And so the first is to help you get found by potential customers, and the second is to help you close more deals from the customers that have already found you. So today we're going to talk about exactly what your online reputation is, why it's so important, and what you can do to improve your existing online reputation. So I'm sure that everyone watching this webinar right now has an amazing offline reputation. You might be getting tons of word of mouth recommendations. You might have been around for a really long time, maybe over 100 years your company's been around. And so people just know you in the industry, and that's awesome. We definitely love hearing that. But we also today are just going to focus on your online reputation versus your offline reputation. So first, we're going to go over your first-party reputation assets, and that includes your website and your social media accounts, really anything you can control on your own. And then we'll dive into building up your third-party reputation with things like reviews and testimonials from your customers, any publications or press links that you might have, awards you've earned, certifications you have, or any affiliations that you might have. So we're going to be providing you with lots of tips about how to improve your online reputation. And I promise that at the end of this webinar, you'll walk away with at least a few actual steps you can take to improve your online reputation right away. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie again to talk to everybody about why your online reputation is so important.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat. So let's dig in. First, I want to talk about two common misconceptions people have about their reputation. The first is that many suppliers think that as long as they provide a high quality of service and product, their reputation will come naturally. Unfortunately, this isn't the case because we know that bad news travels faster than good news, especially today in our digital age. And very few people take initiative to write reviews on their own. But when they do write reviews, they write one after a strong emotional experience, which is often experiences that occur contrary to expectation. That's because buyers expect to receive high quality of service from you. When they get it, which is 90% of the time, it's not surprising. However, when something goes wrong in their minds, it's a huge impact on people, and they want their disappointment to be known. Your online reputation needs to be able to outshine any negative experience. The second misconception is that having no online reputation is better than having a bad one. We understand that a common worry that suppliers have is that by building their online reputation, they're inviting negative feedback and information to spread online. But having no online reputation leads to mistrust and wariness from buyers. A lack of presence causes mistrust, and buyers are worried about being scammed when they can't find anything about you. They really fear the unknown. And when comparing similar suppliers against each other, the buyer will almost always choose the supplier with more information available because more information about the supplier builds more trust. When negative information shows up, and it will, it has disproportionately higher impact because there isn't enough positive information to balance out the negative. So this leads us to the reality is that you have to be very active about building your online presence. This isn't a new concept. When you were all building your business, you had to actively build your brand and create awareness as well. You hit the pavement to do this. There's a reason that you all go to trade shows and make an effort to network. You understand that you must be active about making connections in order to grow your reputation. Doing this online is just as important. So what does online reputation do for you? Well, it increases your exposure to get more leads. It targets leads from the industry or segment you actually want to get in contact with. It helps you close more of the leads you already get, and it builds trust in your company. So how do buyers actually do online research? We'll dive into looking into some of the ways they go about trying to find you. Nowadays, everyone does research online. That is basically a given. Regardless of whether they end up conducting business with you online or offline, every customer you talk to will have at least done an initial Google search of your company. This probably isn't new to you, but what you might not realize is 65% of buyers trust online search results more than other sources. By the time customers actually reach out to a supplier, they've conducted a lot of research and have eliminated most suppliers from their shortlist. My team here at Kinnek, we talk to buyers on a daily basis, and we've heard from them that they want to narrow their list down to a few vetted suppliers instead of contacting all suppliers up front. They will do their homework before reaching out to you. That's because for a buyer, talking to and negotiating with prospective suppliers is very time consuming, especially if they have a long list of suppliers to reach out to, and they don't want to be chasing after a dozen or so different suppliers. Also, these buyers are on guard. They don't want to be upsold or scammed into something that they don't want, and they're hyper aware that it's your job to sell them a product. 45% of buyers will actually change their mind depending on what they find or don't find when they search for you and your company online. You could be missing out on better leads simply by not having a few trustworthy pieces of information about you online. So how do you get on their shortlist? Well, as you see here, buyers will use both vendor-provided assets as well as independent third-party resources to research suppliers. On average, buyers use 5 sources, including social media, blogs and forums, third-party sites and references, Google.
Hey, Jamie, I just want to make a point about Google. So, there are a lot of different search engines out there, but Google really has about 92% of the share. So from here on out, whenever we're talking about search results, we're really just going to be focusing on Google. The next two after 92% are about 2.5% each for Yahoo and Bing. So that's just the reason why we're focusing on Google here instead.
Thanks, Kath. And the 5th source that buyers turn to is, of course, your website. And we see here that's 83% of the time. So this is good because your existing assets are still very important, but it's crucial that you also have additional third-party sources. And now I'm going to hand it over to Catherine, who's going to talk to you more about first and third-party sources you can use to build online reputation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jamie. So let's take a look at how you can actually build your online reputation. First, let's take a step back, though, and really go through what your online reputation consists of. So it kind of breaks down into 2 sections. So the first is first-party sources, and these are things you control yourself. And the second half is third-party validated sources. So on your end, it's your website, which is obviously going to be, the biggest tool for you. Then we'll talk about social media. We'll go into a little bit in depth about Google My Business, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Any advertising that you're doing right now is also considered a first-party source. So that's, you're paying for a billboard or Google AdWords. That's all something you're controlling that message, and you're controlling what you want your customers to see about you there. And the last first-party source is trade shows. So this includes not only, the setup of your booth, but anything you might be printing out afterwards to hand to people when they visit you. Again, you're controlling the message there. So on the third-party side of things, we have reviews and testimonials, and this is really the most powerful tool in your sort of third-party validated toolbox. And then we'll also cover third-party publications, press releases, links, things like that, any certifications you might have, any awards you've won, or any affiliations you might have as well. So let's start with the first-party sources. So like I mentioned before, your website is going to be the most important first-party source that you can control. At least 83% of buyers will visit your website before deciding to do business with you. It's actually probably a little bit higher than that. But there are a few things you can do to make sure that your website not only makes you look professional, but also shows off your strengths. So a couple things that your website really should have. The first is mobile responsiveness, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Clear, detailed product information. People want to see your products in high quality situations, really understand the details of everything that you have to offer. Information about you, they want to be able to trust you, they want to know who you are, they want to make sure that you are actually an expert in your industry. And then the last thing I want to bring up is just fresh new content. So Google really loves fresh content. Their job is to return the most relevant results for any search that you might do or one of your potential customers might do by searching your company. So if you're updating your website, Google sees that as relevant and interesting. So it's going to, index your site more and really see you as a more valuable resource. And I realize that not everybody, might have the resources needed to update their website on a regular basis. So later when we get to the social media side of things, we'll talk about a couple ways how you can leverage that instead. Okay, so first on the list of needs for your website is mobile responsiveness. So more and more buyers are doing businesses on their phones, they're on the go. So making sure that your website displays correctly on mobile devices really lets your customers know that you appreciate that they're working all the time. And you want to make sure that you are accommodating their busy schedules by having your website present beautifully whenever they're looking on their phones. So a responsive website is also a clear indication to your customers that you're aware of new trends and you understand the role of technology in future business. Things are changing, a lot of things are moving online. So it just shows that you're innovative and you're keeping up with the times. But the most important reason to make your website mobile friendly is that if your website is difficult to navigate on a mobile phone or a tablet, your customers will likely leave before they find the information that they went to your website to find in the first place. So definitely don't miss out on these opportunities and make sure that your website is mobile responsive. So next is clear and detailed product information. So your website needs to clearly show what you're selling, right? So this is what people are coming to your website to find out. Customers really want to see your products in action so they know what to expect from you. Try to be as specific as possible in the descriptions of your products and services, but also include photos or even better videos of customers actually using your products in their businesses and their day-to-day life. We highly recommend getting a professional photographer if you have the budget for it and the time for it to take high quality photos of your product. I know that not everybody is going to have those resources, but at the very least, if you're taking photos with your phone, and phones take pretty awesome pictures these days, just make sure your phone is set on the highest quality settings so that you're really capturing all those details in your images. So another option, if you have the budget but maybe not the time to do a photo shoot, is you can actually hire an outside illustrator to make a visual representation of your product or service. So really any extra details you can include about what you sell or the services that you provide are going to be super helpful to your customers. Okay, the next is an About You section. So as with most business-to-business purchasing, relationships are incredibly important. Buyers care a ton about who they do business with, and they want to know that they're going to be taken care of. They're going to be working with someone who really knows what they're doing. So they're really trusting you to be the subject matter expert in your industry. So showing them who you are can go a really long way towards building trust and hopefully leading to a relationship where you guys are working together for a long time. So your About You section of your website should definitely include members of your team, highlight if you have any experts in the field working for you. It really just kind of goes to show that you are reputable. Also include why your company was founded, what your mission is, what your values are, really just paint a picture of who you are and why you're in the business that you're in. And then you can also post information about your tools and methodology, how you go about doing the work that you do. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to social media. So social media is great for a few reasons. So the first is that it's really easy to create and post content on your own. It doesn't have to be a super high production value. So like I mentioned before, those professional product shots for your website, people don't really expect that on social media. If you have it, that's awesome. Definitely share it. But if you don't, people expect social media to be more of a, hey, you're on the go, you're doing this quickly. So you don't have to really worry about spending too much time on producing the right content. You do want to make sure that whatever you're doing feels personal. It's sort of like peeling back the curtain and showing who's working for you, what the day-to-day life in your business is like. And when you update to social media, it really just lets customers know that you're active, that you're paying attention to the business, that you're paying attention to them. And the best of all is that it's free. You don't need to pay anybody. You don't need technical expertise to do it. Anybody can really update their social media right from their phone. They don't even need a computer. Okay, so today, actually I'm gonna start a quick poll right now to see what types of social media everyone is using right now. And so as that pops up on your screen right now, feel free to answer. But I'm just gonna mention the a couple that we're going to focus on today. So the first is Google My Business. The second will be Facebook and Instagram. And the last is going to be LinkedIn. I have a couple of people right now saying they use LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Okay, awesome.
And Catherine, I just wanted to pause there because we don't always hear Google in reference to social media.
Right. So Google My Business is actually a little bit different than the Google search results that you're usually used to seeing. So Google My Business is really a holdout from Google Plus, which was Google's attempt to compete with Facebook. And I think, as we all know, that did not necessarily work out for them. But Google My Business is sort of the last remaining holdout of that endeavor, and it is actually very helpful to businesses. So there's a couple of reasons why this is true. So your Google My Business card, sorry, I just want to mention that this thing that we're referring to here, the screenshot, is actually called a card. So if you hear me say that, that's what I'm talking about. But so if you search for a business, you'll see on the left-hand side the regular Google search results you're used to seeing. But on the right, this card will pop up if you've verified your business with Google My Business. So this is important because it displays a lot of practical information about your business, your address, the hours that you're open, your contact information. It also provides just extra visibility. So instead of being found just in the regular search results, there's also this beautiful card on the right that has pictures, and it also contains reviews from around the web. So right now, Element Machinery, they're a client of ours. So you can see reviews from the web at the bottom. Kinnek, their rating is 4.9 out of 5 with 5 reviews. And on Facebook, they have 1 review, and that rating is a 4 out of 5. So it's just another way to really be seen by customers, which is great. And then last is that it demonstrates credibility. So, it proves to customers that this is verified, this is a real business, you're established, and then people can trust and do business with you. Okay, so then we'll move on to Facebook and Instagram. So social media can be very effective because it's an easy way to show customers that you're active without having to constantly update your website, like I mentioned earlier. It humanizes your company. It can feel very genuine. It doesn't really require technical expertise, so you can do it on your phone, on the fly. It doesn't require a webmaster, someone who knows how to code, to regularly update your customers with new information about your business. So it's really easy to create content and post regularly. You can even schedule it in advance on Facebook as well, which is super helpful. But I do realize that Facebook and Instagram and some social media really might not be perfect for every business. So before you decide to really dedicate a ton of time to this, you should take a step back and really think about how your customers are currently engaging with you. You could take a look at some of your competition and see if any of them have Facebook profiles, Instagram profiles, and see how they're using it, because if it's working for them, odds are it will work for you as well. So if they're putting the time in, it's probably worth looking into on your end. Also, think about what kinds of content your customers will find helpful. Make sure that you'd have enough content to continue to post, and just also make sure that you have the time needed to maintain these accounts. So a lot of people get really excited in the beginning and are constantly making updates for the first few weeks, and then it's sort of, you get distracted, you run out of time, and so these pages that have now built up a following just sort of sit stagnant, and that can actually be more harmful than helpful for you. So I just want to mention a few tips on different types of content you can create and share. So I'll walk you through some examples at the end, but here are just sort of some general guidelines to help you. So you can tell a story about your business, who you are as a company, what are your values, who's on your team. You can post updates about your products. You can also engage your current and prospective customers. You can let them know when you're going to be at an event. If you're attending a trade show, list what booth you're at, encourage people to come by and say hello. You can share recent sales and deals. We have a great example of this coming up in the next few slides. And then most importantly, before you share something, really think, hey, is this something my customers are going to find useful? Don't just share something because you thought it was cool or there's some hashtag you saw that other people were using. Definitely make sure whatever you share is relevant to your audience, who is your customers. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple examples. The first is an Instapage video posted by MJM Manufacturing. So this is a great post because it has a brief caption. They mention how to get in contact with them, send your drawings to sales@mjmmfg.com. And then they have a second post here with a bunch of different hashtags. So adding hashtags to your posts on Instagram is a great way to sort of get your content in front of different people who might be interested in things like engineering or laser cutting. And so also this video is great because it's very high quality, it's very detailed, you're zoomed in so you can really see, all the elements of the machine and how it actually works. So this is a great example. So the next example is showcasing your team at work. So this is from Ness Campbell. And so the caption reads, Mr. Corey DeYoung is getting a shout out and a $100 Swag Shack gift card today. After finishing a job on the 60-ton boom truck this morning, the customer called in and expressed how happy they were to have Corey on the job. He performed the work with the utmost professionalism and expertise. We appreciate these calls and most of all you, Corey. So this is a fantastic post. It just makes you feel good reading it, but also it shows that Ness Campbell really values their employees. They treat them well. The employees are obviously competent. They're good at their job. They're willing to go the extra mile for the customers. These are all things that when potential customers see this, they want to do business with this brand. So, and the fact that it also shows that the customer and the supplier have a great relationship, and it even mentions the products when it says the 60-ton boom truck. So that's just a little added bonus. And so this post generated a ton of engagement. As you can see, 142 likes or hearts. And then there's a bunch of comments, which I have here in the middle. So, Corey's friends and family are going to see this. They're going to comment on it. And then as soon as they comment on it, all of their friends and people that they're connected with on Facebook are also going to see it. So it's a great way to engage your customers, but then also grow your brand by sharing it across different platforms. And then the last example is by Bridgetown Brew Systems. So they produce stills. And so this is them posting a picture of a still that they built for another company, which they've tagged here at Turner Stillhouse. So it's a great post. It just says, Corey thinks we should have made it bigger, maybe next time, Corey. So this is great because it's very playful. It directly tags the other business that they built the still for. And then it also sort of alludes to future business by saying maybe next time, Corey. So it just establishes that they have a great relationship with each other. And then there's one last thing about Instagram that I just want to mention. There's an added benefit of what they call highlights. So it's basically just permanent photos and videos that are kind of cemented to the top of their profile that visitors can see at any time. So these are very casual. They don't have to be high production value, but you can really highlight the best aspects of your business. If you have your most popular products maybe, or you're running a special, you're going to be at a trade show and you want to let people know, who's going to be there, which salespeople they can ask for when they're there. So it's just like short, digestible bits of information about your business and your products. But it's a great way to just give everybody a snapshot of what your company is all about. All right, so the last one is LinkedIn, which was by far what everyone in the poll said they're using the most. So this is great. So I'm sure a lot of you know LinkedIn since almost everybody said they're using it. So it's really mainly for hiring, making industry connections. So it's really great for that, but can also really help your sales team. So there's a couple action steps I have for everyone if you haven't done this already, is to just create your company page on LinkedIn. You don't necessarily need to update it as much as you would for like on Facebook or Instagram, but just having your company page is a way that your employees can, directly connect to that company. And it just gives you another added step of legitimacy and really seems like you're a brand that can be relied on. And last but not least, if you're putting in all of this effort, you want to really make sure that you're promoting your social media. So they make these little icons. You can easily add them to your website. If you have a Kinnek profile, we do the same thing. We put all of your links to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anything you have on the social element. And then the last thing, and this is definitely going to take a little bit more technical expertise. So if you have a webmaster or somebody who can help you out with this, and you have beautiful photos on Instagram that you want to share with everyone, you can actually build in an Instagram feed directly into your website. So it does take a little bit of technical expertise, but once it's set up, it'll automatically update with your latest Instagram photos. So you don't need to go back and edit it after that. So it's just something that's like one time, and then now you'll have constant, fresh information on your website, which, like I mentioned earlier, is something that Google really does love. So something to think about. All right. And so now I'm going to hand it over to Jamie, who is going to go through some third-party sources.
Excellent. Yes. So your first-party sources, which Catherine just went over, like social media sites, lay a solid groundwork, but it's your third-party validation is what's really going to push you over the finish line, and this is where the real power lies. So even though the vast majority of buyers will go to your website, only 37% think it's the most helpful tool. And here on the right, we have a quote that kind of highlights that. I'm going to go ahead and read this quote. Being able to try the product out and combining that with actual customer feedback was most valuable to us. The vendor's website, along with what their own reps say about it, carries the least amount of weight in our mind. You can see that while buyers valued the information from the supplier, they had skepticism about its legitimacy. Essentially, this boils down to nothing you say about your company will ever be as trustworthy as what other people say about you. So we're going to talk about a few different kinds of third-party validation today and how they can help elevate your online reputation. We'll go through certifications, awards, affiliations, publications, and my favorite, reviews and customer testimonials. These sources can be key to earning trust amongst your customers. Great. First, certifications. So why do certifications matter? Well, certifications give buyers a methodology to evaluate you by and compare you against others. They are proof of quality from an objective third-party source. And when buyers see this listed on your website or in any communication with you, they know that you've gone through a vetting process, and they are more confident that you uphold to certain standards, like up here, ISO standards or the American National Standards Institute. Also, buyers want to work with companies that they believe in, companies with matching principles. So there's also a list of certifications that are not exactly product oriented or related, but more about you and your company and who works there. That's what you're going to see here on the right. So these certifications make buyers more enthusiastic to work with you and may even encourage them to choose you over different suppliers. They want to see that you perhaps support your facilities, support the environment, that you imply or it's US veteran owned, that you also are a women and minority owned business. So when you have the certifications, you want to use them to your benefit. And you want to make sure that they're available for others to see. So you want to display them on your website or on other third-party sites like your Kinnek profile. And if you don't already have these certifications, go ahead and apply for them and do a little research about what you may already qualify for. And when you do that research, you may learn that you're not quite up to their standards, but then you can go ahead and work on making those improvements. You can go actually obtain the certifications down the road. And then once you have those certifications, you should absolutely go and feature them. And here you're going to see an example from Ajax's website, where at the top of the website, they included a link that allows customers to read about the benefits of ISO certification and how they achieved it. So it's not only telling the customer that, yes, we are ISO certified, but it's also telling the customer why they should care. And this will help stand out if when your competition doesn't include that they are certified, let's say, by ISO. And certifications are also another element that you can post to your Kinnek profile. All right, affiliations. So affiliations, like certifications, should also be showcased and highlighted. And affiliations really adds legitimacy. It shows engagement with your community, within your industry, and establishes you as an industry leader. It all goes back to the saying that you are the company you keep. So here we're showing examples from up the top here. That's a little highlight of a Kinnek profile where we allow our clients to include any affiliations that they're a part of. And at the bottom, this is actually a snapshot from one of our partners' website, Gamer Packaging. So at the bottom of their own website, they include a whole carousel of the other organizations that they're members of.
All right, so I'm going to take it over now to talk about awards. So a lot of our suppliers sometimes worry that they don't have any awards, but luckily you can actually be pretty proactive about acquiring awards. You don't really need to sit around and hope that somebody notices you. There are a ton of awards out there. All you really need to do is kind of search online for your industry. Typically, they only require application to be filled out. So a quick form, maybe a small fee. But the best part about that is that once you apply, a lot of the sort of award givers will put together a listing of all of the people who qualify for the award. So even if you don't win, you'll still get recognition for at least being considered, which can also be really helpful. So there's a couple different kinds of awards we're going to go over today. The first type is a industry award. So on the right here, we have one of our clients, Advanced Metal Fabricators. This is an excerpt from their Kinnek profile. So the first is, the second one here is the Technology and Manufacturing Award. So that's just, letting everyone know that they're a leader in their industry, very industry specific, which is very helpful to show potential customers that, you really know what you're doing. You're considered to be the best amongst your peers, which is very powerful. And the other type of awards are culture awards. So these are sort of, you're a great company to work for, your employees are super happy. So Vance here has the top places to work in 2016, sponsored by a local organization. And then Ajax here on the bottom, they were nominated and won one of the top 150 workplaces in Minnesota, I believe. Yeah, Minnesota, by the Star Tribune, and again, another local paper. So there's ways to feature these awards just like you did your affiliations or your certifications. You could put links in your Kinnek profile if you have one, and then also at the top of your website here, like Ajax did. All right, so next we have publications. So press coverage is definitely one aspect of your reputation that you need to be fairly proactive about. Odds are local papers are not just going to be coming knocking on your door asking if they can, write a front page article about you. So you really need to sort of reach out to trade publications. Maybe you have a new product that you're launching, or you have some innovation that's really going to change the industry. That's certainly something that a trade publication will want to cover about you. You can also consider reaching out to your local newspaper or radio station or television affiliate. They're usually searching for stories to feature local businesses, so that's usually an easy way to kind of get some press coverage. And then once you have that coverage, you, just like everything else, want to make sure that you share it. So on the right here, we have an example of the Kinnek profile sharing Chillertron's press links, but you can also share it on your website, like we mentioned earlier. Press links make wonderful content for social media. So again, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you have there would be a great place to share. And then another way that some people don't necessarily think of all the time is that, especially if you're featured in a trade publication and it's something that your clients are going to instantly recognize, is to just add a link like, hey, check us out in the latest whatever issue in your email signature. So that's just sort of a subtle way to let everybody know, like, hey, we're legit, this industry-wide publication featured us because we are doing great things to revolutionize the business. So it's just a good way to get that in front of people in a subtle way. Okay. So now we move on to the most powerful third-party validation tool in your arsenal, which is reviews and testimonials. So let's talk about why they're so powerful. They're a first-hand account of your products and services in action. Buyers trust reviews because they're written by their peers, and they trust their peers not only to be knowledgeable, but also unbiased resources of information about your business. Reviews are more descriptive than any other sources. By nature, they're including in-depth details about what a customer cares about the most, because that's what they took time to actually write about. They often address questions that buyers have, which can be very helpful to potential buyers to see that as well. And 85% of buyers trust online reviews just as much as personal word of mouth recommendations. And so this is really significant because one online review can be exponentially more can reach exponentially more potential customers than one, word of mouth. That's really just a 1-to-1 ratio. But when you put a review online, thousands and thousands of people can read it. So let's talk a little bit about how buyers actually use reviews. So the number one reason buyers use reviews is to compare different products. The next, about 61%, use reviews to understand their options. So, maybe they've chosen the supplier, but they want to make sure they're getting the best product. Maybe they haven't narrowed down the supplier yet. They just want to sort of compare one to the other. About 45% will use reviews to validate, a first-party claim made on a vendor's website or in their advertising materials. Another 45 will use it to confirm their decision. So they made up their mind. They just want to double check and make sure that they've made the right decision. And 42% will use to find evidence to support a recommendation. So, they've received a recommendation from a peer, someone they trust, and they just want to verify that they're making the right decision. And then about 28% will use reviews to research questions for the vendor. So, maybe they're thinking about buying a product from this person, but they see several reviews mention, an issue with part of the product. So this is just a way for them to do their due diligence and find out specifically what they need to ask you about. So right now, only about 64% of vendors and suppliers like you are using references to engage their current customers. So if you're not doing that, that's definitely a way we recommend to stay in front of your customers. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a great review. So it might sound obvious, but the first thing is that the review should really talk about what has been purchased. It's great to have a review just about the company itself, but customers really want to see specifics and know exactly what that review is referring to. That way they can compare similar products and just make sure they're making the right decision. The second is that the review should include a description of the purchasing process. So a lot of these purchases, as I'm sure you know, are complicated. There's a lot of back and forth. It takes a long time. So customers want to know that not only the product, it's arrived as described and does everything that they expected it to, but just how the purchasing process was along the way. How was your sales rep? What was that relationship like? So it's really important to have that type of information in a review. It's really a way where your commitment to service and taking care of your customers can really come through. And so, like we mentioned before, customers love to see photos and videos of your products in action. So this can be helpful because it lets customers know how your products work. It gives them information about how they were installed. It's just nothing really puts the perspective of a buyer in a better mindset of imagining themselves using that product and seeing their peers use it in their own spaces. And the good thing about reviews is that you don't need 5-star reviews every time. In fact, it's better to have a slightly less than 5-star rating. So people really trust reviews in this sort of magical zone between 4.2 to 4.5 out of 5 stars. It really just seems more genuine and they're more believable than everything was perfect and everything's great all the time. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Jamie, who is going to walk us through a couple examples of reviews on Kinnek.
Yeah, so this review here that I selected, it was a review that was left for Element Machinery on their Kinnek profile. And we love this review because it hits on everything Catherine just highlighted for what's a good review. It's super rich. The first thing you notice is that the review is a good length. It includes lots of details into the buyer's experience with Element Machinery, and it's not just a star rating. And really, this is by design because at Kinnek, we get the importance of reviews, and also we know how to customize the review template for purchases between businesses, right? Not between just a consumer like a Yelp review. We've built this template to capture what we know customers want to see. And one thing that's really important that you'll see up here in the top left is that this review clearly says the name of who left the review, what company they work with, and it says that this review was verified. And we verified that this customer has worked with Element Machinery since 2001. And today that's really important because we hear a lot on the news and read articles about sites that allow for fake reviews or just how fake reviews are out there. So here we help buyers who are doing their research by letting them know that this review has been vetted, and we list it here clearly for them to see. And then you're also going to see here in the box in the middle is that the buyer was able to clearly tag what products they purchased from Element Machinery. So that's listed here. They were also able to upload, while they were leaving the review, photos of Element Machinery's products at their facilities. And on the left, you're going to see some business capabilities that Don went ahead and endorsed for Element Machinery, which will also stand out on their Kinnek profile, on Element Machinery's profile. And as you start reading the review, you're going to see that the review tells a story, and the reviewer highlights the supplier's relationship building skills and provides anecdotes on his experience. You're going to see that he says the relationship goes back 12 years, that he would trust them with any project. And the review really demonstrates the supplier's expertise and customer service. And it's going to be really appealing to prospective buyers because it tells them more than just a star rating. It gives them insight into the experience and who really Element Machinery is. I selected just one more example that I want to showcase. This is a review that was left on Bridgetown Brew Systems profile. And what I love here is the images that were uploaded to go along with this review, because it shows that Lauren, who's the owner of Bridgetown, was actually on site at the customer, helping with the installation. They obviously have a great relationship that this buyer has taken, over 6 photos and was included them. And then also after the review was posted, Lauren took the time to go back onto Kinnek and reply to Matthew, who wrote this review, letting him know that he appreciates his business. And what this does is it's not only nice to acknowledge the review that was given, but it gives Lauren the opportunity to show anyone who's looking at his reviews that he is still engaged with his customers and appreciates them even after the sale is done. Okay, so now something that's very important is how do you go about collecting those reviews? Well, despite the fact that not many customers write reviews unprompted, most customers are actually willing to write a testimonial for a supplier, especially if they enjoyed working with you. And I have a lot of experience. My team has a lot of experience with this. As part of the account management team here, we help our partners collect those reviews. In the past few months, we've collected hundreds of reviews on behalf of our partners. And I know when we actually speak to these customers, they're usually more than happy to take 2 minutes to leave a testimonial and help the supplier out. So first, to get started, you should actually start getting the review collection process as part of your sales team's process, because reviews are often about the relationship and the sales rep rather than the relationship with the overall company. So your sales reps are your brand ambassadors, and if that relationship ends, you might not be able to go back to that customer and ask for a review. So take the time now to have your sales team, the reps, incorporate review collection into their account management flow, their follow-up flow. So at the end of every project or sale, the rep can go ahead and ask the customer if they wouldn't mind leaving a testimonial. And you'd be surprised how often they'll say yes. One of the easiest ways to collect testimonials is first to talk to your most loyal customers. If they like you already and have communicated that with you, they'll be glad to help other buyers discover you and help you promote yourself. This can be considered a low-hanging fruit for you and should be the first customers you approach when you're starting out on collecting reviews. Finally, you can leverage a service like us here at Kinnek to help you collect reviews. My team is highly trained on collecting reviews and can help you get real high-quality reviews without the hassle of following up yourself. We can actually take that burden away from you. And we'll work with you to set up calls with your customers if they like to just get on the phone. We know that sometimes customers, they're in the showroom, they're on the floor, they're in factories, they don't have time to sit in front of their computer and actually fill out a form or write a review. That's why we'll take the time to get on the phone and have them tell us their story, dictate their review, and we'll ask some probing questions that can really help capture that full story. So more about us. Kinnek is a third-party resource that you can use, built with one goal: help businesses like you get found by customers who don't know about you, and then close more deals with customers who have already heard of you.
Yeah, so word of mouth has really moved online, and so Kinnek is helping direct this shift by creating a powerful third-party digital presence for you with the Kinnek profile and other suppliers like you. So you should now be seeing a link to Advanced Metal Fabricators on the right. So this is just a link to their Kinnek profile. So feel free to take a look. If you have any questions about Kinnek or anything else we've covered today, we'll be sticking around for a few minutes to answer any questions you have. We'll also put our contact information up on the next slide. So if you have, something comes to you later and you want to ask us a question, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to answer anything you'd like. All right, let's see if we have any questions. All right, okay, so the first question we have right now is how often should I be posting to social media? So it really depends. I mean, I would say on average, what you're really looking for is at least 2 to 3 posts a week. And that's pretty standard for Facebook or Instagram, which is why those were the two we covered. If you're on Twitter, that's definitely more active. So I would say, at least once a day for Twitter, but that's sort of why we highlighted Facebook and Instagram, because it's just like a little bit less effort, but it still makes a big impact. All right, one more question.
All right, I can take this one. So someone asked, how many reviews do I need? So based on our experience and some studies we've done, we kind of recommend have a minimum of 10 reviews that are 4.2 stars on average or higher. We've seen that it's profiles with that many reviews, a 10 minimum, really start to see more customers engaging with them, referencing the reviews, and then going ahead and making a purchase. But also, it doesn't come down to just the quantity. You also want to make sure that timing is a consideration. So you don't want to have stale reviews. You don't want someone who's going to come to read your reviews and see that they're all from a year or two ago. You want to make sure there's some more recent ones from the past 6 months. And then that's why it's important to have your sales team or yourself work the review collection process into your normal sales cycle and in your customer management, so that you can be collecting reviews on an ongoing basis.
All right, we actually had a follow-up to that question. So somebody asked, what's the difference between verified and unverified reviews? So at Kinnek, we really take time, Jamie's team especially is really leading this effort, is to make sure that if someone writes a review about you, that they actually were verified as one of your customers. So we do this by verifying invoices, really any information we have to show that they were in fact your customer and they're not just somebody or perhaps your competition or somebody who's trying to badmouth you and just put anything they want up. We really have a process to make sure that that doesn't happen, so that every review you have is actually one of your customers.
Any other questions?
Let's see. What's the difference between Kinnek reviews and ones that I see posted on Google? So we kind of touched on that a little bit. Our reviews are verified. All Google really verifies is that you have a valid email address. They don't really go that extra step to see if you actually were a customer. We talk to everyone. Jamie and her team get on the phone with customers that our suppliers actually tell us we're their customers. So we reach out to them and then get their information, really build out a robust review from there, and then verify that they were actually 100% legitimate customers. All right, I think that's everything so far. So thank you everybody for joining us. I'm just gonna put our contact info up on the screen now, but I just wanna say thanks to everyone who joined, and hopefully you came away with something you can do to help improve your reputation.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, have a good one, everybody.